Weiss! You dumbass! Start making sense, you rotten book, or you're gonna be sorry. Maybe I'll rip your pages out one by one, or maybe I'll put you in the goddamn furnace! How can someone with such a big smart brain get hypnotized like a little bitch, huh? Oh, Shadow Lord, I love you, Shadow Lord. Come over here and give Weiss a big sloppy kiss, Shadow Lord. Now pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start fucking helping us!
With this lovely dialogue, we are getting introduced to Kainé, and with this, I welcome you to this lore video about Kainé and Tyrann. Gestalt Kainé and Gestalt Tyrann only appeared in the NieR Replicant drama CD, The Lost Verses and the Red Sky, which was exclusively released in Japan in the year 2011. So, let's begin with Tyrann. The original name of Tyrann was Yura Masayoshi. This was revealed in the drama CD. It's not clear how old Yura was before he became Tyrann, or how old he was when he died, but he was at least 1400 years old when he died. Yura was a prideful, sarcastic and arrogant person. He enjoyed using force and thought any opportunity to undermine any who displeased him. But despite all that, he was a selfish coward who shrank at danger and responsibility, cruelly doing anything for his guaranteed survival. He was a leader of a small military group which served a countermeasure against Special Biological Organism Department, which was part of the Japanese Self-Defense Force. Yura was a bloodthirsty and ruthless leader. He often used intimidation techniques and fear to hold his soldiers in line. He wasn't afraid to use deadly force to make others cooperate with him. Somewhere between the year 2033 and 2053, Yura stormed the National Weapon Laboratory named Murasaki. His goal was to abduct Emil and use his powers to fight against legions. Because of his personality, Yura had a lot of people supporting him, but he got provided with money by an old woman named Kali. Kali was the grandmother of Kainé. For more information about her, make sure to check out my video I made about Kali and her husband. Link is in the description. After Yura successfully abducted Emil, he got ordered by Kali to protect her mansion against the incoming Legion attack. During the attack, all 62 soldiers and the P-22 unit died. Yura used Emil in order to survive the attack. He ran from the battlefield and went hiding. Yura later managed to get among the ranks of those who get turned into Gestalts first, by changing his name to Tyrann. After the military found out about this, they destroyed Yura's Replicant, and with that, he was unable to return to his proper body. Yura was invading other people's replicants and using them to quench his bloodthirst by slaughtering shades. He did this for more than 1,000 years, up until the point where he met Replicant Kainé. When he wasn't able to abduct her body, he made a deal with her. As long as she would keep killing and hating things, he would simply reside within her heart and offering his help as she fought. But as soon as she would show a moment of weakness, he would take over her completely. In the end, Kainé comes to understanding his feelings, that he's only a lonely soul who nobody likes, and that uses hatred as a grudge, that she felt the same way like he did at the beginning. Yura started to understand Kainé's feelings as well. Because of this, Yura committed one of the first and only true noble acts in his life, in helping Replicant NieR in ending C and D. That's all we know about Tyrann for now. So, let's continue with Kainé. The original Kainé was born somewhere after the year 2030. She was a designer baby, which had human genes mixed with Legion attack patterns. These human genes were none other than the ones of Kali and her husband. Kainé was living most of her life in Kali's mansion, without knowing that she was a designer baby, and that she has Legion attack patterns inside her. Kali and her husband told Kainé that they are her grandparents. The reason why they told her that they are her grandparents, and not her real parents, is unclear, but I would guess because of the old age of Kali and her husband. Kainé was raised as obedient, soft-spoken and formal maiden of high society, which was wearing fine dresses most of the time. This is the complete opposite of Replicant Kainé. At some point, Kainé got a white dog from her grandfather, in order to bring joy to her life. She named the dog Shiro, which means white in Japanese. Shiro is also the Japanese name given to Grimoire Weiss, but it's also a common dog name. That's why he found it degrading. During a red-eye attack, Kainé left the mansion in order to search for Shiro. She encountered Yona, who got separated from NieR during the chaos of the attack. Kainé brought Yona back to the mansion. At this time, Yura was defending the mansion, but because he failed to protect the mansion, the two of them had to run away from the burning mansion. After Kainé reunited Yona with NieR, she tried to go back to save her grandparents, only to see how her grandfather is shielding Kali from a fatal blow. Before he died, he had some parting words, warning her that her world will change when she finds out the truth. But he was crushed by falling debris before he was able to tell her the truth. Kali tried to finish what her husband was saying, but got devoured by the red eye completely. Kainé was overcome with rage and grief, and unleashed her legion powers. In her rampage, she ripped the red eye apart with her bare hands. Kali, who was still alive, was recovered by the countermeasure against Special Biological Organism Department. Kainé, who was still in a rampage, started to attack everything she saw. The soldiers were afraid of her and started to call her a monster. But NieR defended her, insisting that she was still human, who saved their lives. Thanks to NieR's belief in her human heart, Kainé came back to her senses. Later on, she had a husband, but it's unclear who her husband was, or when they were getting married. At some point, Kainé was undergoing the gestaltization. However, during the process a bug occurred. Due to this bug, the replicant system created her replicant as an intersexual one. Intersexual or intersex people are individuals born with any of several variations in sex characteristics, including chromosomes, sex hormones, or genitals, that according to the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights do not fit the typical definition for male or female bodies. Replicant Kainé was born in the Aerie in the year 3448 when you play NieR Replicant. If you play NieR Gestalt, she was born in the year 3341. Because she was born as intersex, Kainé got bullied as a child by the other children in the village. But not only that, she was hated by all villagers. Some of the villagers turned a blind eye on the bullying. However, most of them encouraged the bullying openly. The only person who protected her and showed her kindness when she was a child was her grandmother Kali. Kali had a crude and violent personality, but loved and cared for Kainé. What happened to Kainé's parents is unclear, but we know for sure that they died, and how I interpret it is that they were most likely killed by the other villagers, because Kainé wasn't normal. Shortly after her parents died, Kainé was taken in by Kali. They started to live together outside the village. Because of the bullying of the other children, Kainé started to hate herself, thinking that she should just die and that this would be better for everyone. One day, when she got physically abused by the other children again, Kali came to help her. After the children fled from Kali, Kainé started to cry, telling her to stop being nice to her and that she doesn't deserve the love of her. Kali replied that she shouldn't talk like that she has a duty to fight until the last breath. She also gave her a wreath made out of dried lunar tears. Thanks to this, Kainé started to stop hating herself because who she is. She was getting more confident and started wearing more feminine clothes. One day, Kainé left the house in order to do some errands. When she came back, she saw a large shade called Hook attacking their house. During this attack, Kainé lost her left arm and leg. But not only that, she had to watch how Kali was getting tortured and in the end killed by Hook. At this time, Kainé and Yura met again, after around 1000 years. However, because Yura's replicant got destroyed, he wasn't able to return to it, so he started to snatch other people's replicant. The two of them made a deal, allowing Kainé to survive her wounds. As long as she would keep killing and hating things, he would simply reside within her heart and offering his help as she fought. but as soon as she would show a moment of weakness, he would take over her completely. Her only goal now was to kill Hook and take revenge for Kali. In the Replicant timeline, Kainé and NieR met again in the year 3465. In the Gestalt timeline, they met again in the year 3361. They met each other when NieR was together with Weiss looking at the reef of lunatiers inside Kainé's shack. Thinking they were intruders, Kainé immediately attacked them. After a short period of time, Hook appeared. The three of them started to work together in order to fend off Hook. During the battle, Kainé was knocked out. After the battle was over, NieR carried her back to her shack, and as soon as she woke up, she introduced herself, before telling them to leave. The next time they met, Kainé was getting attacked by a group of sheikhs in front of the Eyrie. After they fend off the group of sheikhs, Hook appeared again, and the three teamed up in order to fight against him. During the fight, Hook managed to hypnotize Kainé by parading as Kali, but she managed to shake the illusion off, and with the help of NieR and Weiss, they were able to defeat Hook. With the death of Hook, Kainé's lust for revenge was satisfied. With her successful revenge, she lost the last thing that kept her alive. She wanted to give up and finally end it all. But in the end, NieR and Weiss managed to convince her to keep fighting and never give up. It ended with Kainé joining them on their journey to find a cure for Yona's illness. The next destination was the desert town called Facade. The people of Facade were looking for a cure as well, due to the death of the king, who died because of the illness as well. Because Kainé saved a kid from Facade a while back ago, the people of Facade welcomed them with open arms. After they found out that the king died, they wanted to talk to the prince, who was now in charge of it. But it didn't take long for them to find out that the prince isn't in town either. He was inside the Baron Temple in order to obtain the royal mask to regain the trust of the people. Kainé went together with NieR and Weiss into the temple as well to find the prince. Inside the temple, they managed to find the prince. However, to escape the temple, they had to fight against Sharia at the end. In the end, they managed to obtain the royal mask. However, there were no new information about the cure for the illness. Kainé rejoined NieR and Weiss later on, when they were investigating a letter written to Yona from the mansion in the southern plains. When they arrived at the mansion, they were greeted by Sebastian, who was the butler of it. He showed them the way to the dining room, where they should wait for him. The owner of the mansion was Emil, a young boy with the curse of petrifying eyes. Sebastian was hoping to find a cure for Emil's eyes. While NieR and Weiss were waiting in the room, Kainé started to explore the mansion on her own. She later joined them again, when NieR, Weiss and Emil got attacked by Grimoire Rubrum. After they defeated Grimoire Rubrum, Sebastian had what he was searching for. The only problem was that the information about the cure for Emil's eyes were encrypted, and Sebastian had to decode it. They left the mansion with no new information about the cure for the illness. When they left, Kainé told Emil that his eyes aren't a sin, and that he shouldn't be ashamed of them. She then showed him that she is part human, part shade, but still the shade part belongs to her. Shortly after this, the village in which NieR was living together with Yona was attacked by a large group of shades, led by the shade named Jack and by Shadowlord. The goal of Shadowlord was to abduct Yona. Jack was too strong for Kainé and NieR to defeat, so they had to do something else to save the village. They eventually managed to lock Jack inside the basement of the library. But before NieR was able to give Kainé the key to lock the door, he got stabbed by Shadowlord. In the end, Emil had to petrify Kainé in order to seal the door and lock Jack away. Shadowlord also managed to abduct Yona. Kainé was petrified for 5 years, up until Emil was able to lift the petrification. Because her petrified body was acting as a seal, Jack was able to escape the basement as soon as the petrification was cured. However, this time, NieR was able to defeat him. Soon after they defeated Jack, Kainé woke up from her slumber. She received a Lunatier from NieR as a welcome back gift. Because of a hint from Popola, they went to the Lost Shrine. When they reached the top of the shrine, they had to fight against Gretel. After Kainè was knocked out by Gretel's poleaxe impaling her chest, Tyrann tried to overtake her body and almost succeeded. But in the end, they managed to bring Kainè back to her senses. They eventually went to the Eyrie again, where Kainè had to witness the ultimate power of Emil when he destroyed the whole area with one magic spell. At some point, they were able to reach Shadowlord's castle with the hopes of getting Yona back. When they encountered Devola and Popola, they were forced to fight against them. It ended in a tie, and Devola and Popola went away. Later on, they encountered the Shade named Goose. Kainè started to talk to the Shade, but it's not exactly clear what Goose said, but it must be something about forgiveness. With the help of the people of the Shade, they were able to get away from Goose. They encountered Devola and Popola again. However, this time they managed to kill Devola, which caused Popola to go berserk. Popola started to channel a magic blast, which threatened to eliminate Kainè, NieR and Emil. It ended with the sacrifice of Emil. They eventually reached Shadowlord and were able to defeat him and get Yona back. From here on, there are 3 different endings. In ending A, Kainè tells NieR that she has personal stuff to do, leading them to part ways. However, in ending C and D, Kainè started to relapse when she wanted to leave, forcing NieR to fight her. After Kainè got incapacitated by NieR, Tyrann explains to him that there are 2 ways to save her, either by killing her or sacrificing his own existence. If you choose to kill her, you get ending C, but if you choose to sacrifice your existence, you achieve ending D. After NieR chooses to sacrifice himself, he disappears and everyone forgets about him. Yona thanks Kainè for saving her. During this, a lunar tear fell to the ground, which Kainè took up. While she was holding the flower, she got a flashback of NieR, telling Yona that she found something special. After ending D, the novel The Lost World takes place. This novel can be found in Grimoire NieR, which was exclusively released in Japan. It takes place 3 years after the events of ending D. After NieR disappeared, Kainè's nightmares continued. She always had the feeling that she lost something precious. Every time she thinks back to that moment, there's always something flashing before her, dissipating right away. For unknown reasons, Tyrann was gone as well. Troubled by these nightmares, Kainè decided to take her anger out at some shades by going to the Forest of Myth. After the death of Shadowlord, a program which will reset the entire Replicant system began its execution in the Forest of Myth. But in the end, Kainè managed to stop the program with the help of Emil. On top of that, NieR was reconstructed from the memories that the Forest of Myth had from 8 years ago, when they first visited the forest. With that, the 3 of them were reunited again. However, because the Replicant system wasn't able to continue due to the death of Shadowlord, they eventually died at some point.
To you, Kainè has been forgiven and saved. Oh wait, she had a final message for you. Thank you.
Kainè. We'll always be together.